Hello folks and welcome to Friday's edition of Magoo Sports News. It is that time of the week where everybody's excited because it's the weekend. I am as always Magoo, and let's have a look back at what sporting action's been going on this week and also what's happening this weekend. So what's been going on this week, folks? Well, not a great deal, bits and bobs. Firstly, I have to mention the Under-21 European Championships. Now, England were in action against the Ukraine, and unfortunately it was an absolutely terrible game. England did not look like they could win the game at all. The only player that was decent was Daniel Sturridge. He hit the bar, but apart from that, England were awful. The Ukraine, in fact, should have won the game. They had a couple of chances in the second half. So what's going wrong for England? I personally believe that some of the England players, they've had a long season in the Premiership. They've got their big money contracts, some of them. You know, they're just looking forward to getting into the big games. I mean, the Under-21 European Championships isn't exactly a prestigious tournament for these guys. On the other hand, for the Ukraine, these guys are basically putting themselves on show because they know the Premiership's going to be watching. They want that contract there. So what else has been happening? The fixtures were released for next season. As always, Manchester United seem to have an easy draw. They've got West Brom away, easy win. Tottenham at home, tricky game, but at the fortress of Old Trafford they don't really lose many. Then they've got Arsenal at Old Trafford again. I can only see 9 points for Man United there. And that's all that's been happening in the football. So in the golf, oh yeah, the second major of the year teed off yesterday. It was the US Open at Congressional, and it was an amazing first day. This course is so long. There's a 523 par 4, such a tricky course. The organisers say that this course tests every aspect of a golfer's game. So a lot of the players struggling, some of the players doing okay. Rory McIlroy on the charge again. -6, 3 shots clear of anybody else, and even 3 shots clear of only one person who's on -3. So he's doing really well. Question is, can he hold on to the lead? He bottled it at Masters. He bottled it obviously last year in the Open. He had a huge lead after day one, but I think mentally he's a bit stronger. All he needs to do is go round in par. I honestly think the winning score for the US Open this year will be +2. You might be thinking to yourself, well, that's an 8-shot swing for McIlroy. Just you guys watch. My tips for this one, I've got down Bubba Watson, I've got down Gary Woodland, and I've got down Brian Gay. If you want to put top 3 for those guys to finish in the top 6, I don't think you'll be far off there. And yeah, that's basically everything in the golf. So moving on to the rugby league, there was one amazing game on midweek. The game I was telling you about, State of Origin. Absolutely fantastic game. Now, I'm sorry to say this for the rugby league fans up here in the Northern Hemisphere, but rugby league down under has a different dimension. It is so much better. Its class is absolutely way better than up here. The State of Origin game, I mean, this was just such a fantastic show of skill, power, and everything that is rugby league. So anyway, New South Wales came away with the 18-8 win against Queensland, and it was levels the series at 1-1. So it goes back up to Queensland for the season, the title decider. Now New South Wales haven't won this title in 6 years, and it was a great game because Queensland had won the previous 5 games against New South Wales. Huge rivalry between these guys. Go and watch that. Now basically the NRL, the Broncos played the Dragons. The Broncos beat the Dragons. Dragons are top. That's a great result for them. So into the tennis, and on the Monday, Andy Murray beat Joe Wilfried Tsonga in the final. I mean, Tsonga came out with an amazing first set. He played so well, but then thing about Tsonga is he bottles it a little bit. A lot of players seem to bottle it, including Andy Murray himself sometimes, but he managed to claw his way back into the game, won the second set on the tiebreak, and then run away with the third set. So this puts a lot of pressure now on for Andy Murray to win Wimbledon because he's just won the warm-up event. Into the cricket, the third test, again more rain. They should have just scrapped this whole series, moved it to South Africa and played it there where there's no rain. Basically, after a day and a half or a day and a bit, Sri Lanka are on 81 for 4. Today is the second day and the rain has basically wiped out the whole morning's play. So not much happening there. So what's going to be going on this weekend in the sporting world, folks? Well, not a great deal, like I said. Saturday and Sunday, we've got the final games of the group stage of the Under-21 European Championships. Now, basically, England have to beat the Czech Republic. That's on 7:45 at night on Sunday. At the same time, Spain play the Ukraine. Now, Spain need to win that game as well. If they lose and England win, then basically the Ukraine and England go through. The other groups, Iceland play Denmark and Switzerland play Belarus. Again, no team has been gone through to the semi-finals. None of the teams is yet to be decided, so all to play for there. Also, the CONCACAF quarterfinals, CONCACAF Gold Cup quarterfinals is on. That's on Saturday night and Sunday night as well. That's the equivalent of the European Championships in Europe. Obviously, the Copa America is in South America, the CONCACAF Gold Cup is in North America. In the Rugby League, big game coming up. That's on tonight. St Helens are playing Wigan. Big rivalry there. Watch that game if you can. Also, we've got the Rugby Union Junior World Cup. You might be thinking, there's no point watching that, but it's actually very good because the All Blacks, the All Black junior team, it could probably beat most of the senior teams. They are hammering teams 90-0. Crazy team, man. So in the golf, the US Open continues. That's on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's all the sport coming up. So, user comment section. I did reply to the user comment last week, but I didn't have enough time to put it on. I'll check the timing for this show, see if I can add it in. If I can, it'll come on now. So, on to my viewer comment section, and it comes from Boom, and he basically says, international sportsmen, when they play for a certain country, can they or should they change? Because in the rugby league, there's players that play for one country, then when the circumstances don't suit them, they switch to another. Interesting debate, this one. Basically, in the rugby league, the trouble is, a lot of countries don't have a professional rugby league sort of setup at international level. Scotland, for example, they do have a team, but they're not very good at all. Now, with the World Cup coming up, these players basically want to play there no matter who they play for. If someone doesn't qualify, they're going to go for somebody else. Now, whether they can switch or not, I think it depends on the sport. Like I say, depends on the international setup that they have. With football, obviously every country has an international team. So when you play for a country, you cannot play for anybody else once you've been capped at senior level. Now, with the likes of cricket, for example, you used to get Irish players playing for England, Welsh players playing for England. You still obviously do get Welsh players playing for England, but the reason being is that there is no opportunity for these players if they're good enough to play at international level. Now, with that sport, the way it's set up is international level is the sort of pinnacle, like playing for the Premier League. It's not a case, you do represent your country, but it's an ongoing thing, international level. So it is, I think, possible to switch, because with Ireland now, with the cricket, the sport of cricket, it has evolved into a bigger international sport. So Ed Joyce, the Irish cricketer, used to play for England, but then switched back to Ireland because Ireland started to get a decent team. I agree with that. I think that's okay, because some sports have basically been a little bit slow to get going and have evolved into bigger international sports like the cricket. So yes, that's okay. But once you've played for a team now in cricket, I don't think you should be allowed to switch. If a sport gets to a certain level, they shouldn't be allowed to switch back. But if it's still at a development stage, yes, I agree, they should be able to switch countries. If not, I'll just continue with the user comments from last week. Basically, it comes from Boom, and he says, what was that noise at 12 minutes and 17 seconds? Well, that was actually my buzzer going, and I stopped the show to answer the door, and as you can see, the scarf moved in the corner. So yeah, I was just answering the door. He also says, I forgot to mention the Stanley Cup final. Now, the Stanley Cup final, not too many people watch that over our side of the pond, so that's why I didn't mention it, but since someone mentioned it, I'll have a wee chat about it. It was the Boston Bruins against the Vancouver Canucks. And this was an amazing series because it's best of 7 in the NHL, and it went to 3-3. Vancouver were looking really strong for it because they played the last game really well, but the Bruins came out and hammered them 4-0. And the funny thing about this was the Vancouver Canuck fans, they threw the toys out the pram. They went crazy, went in a gird, started looting in their own town, rolling cars over in their own town. Check this out. Boom. Look at that. What are they playing at? So anyway, they're destroying property of their own fans. I mean, talk about dumb. I don't know. Anyway, that was that. So folks, gonna have a couple of guests on my show. My first one, who has been involved in a very controversial move, is him. Hello, Mr. McLeish. How are you doing? So, Mr. McLeish, what are you saying for yourself about switching from Birmingham to their arch rivals Aston Villa? Interesting question, I might add. So you don't really care. Even though the fans are protesting outside the club, they don't want you. A lot of them are saying they're not going to pay money to see Aston Villa. You're still going to go for it. Fair enough. Good interview there. So anyway, my second guest is Boom. Hello, Mr. McElroy. So, are you going to bottle it this time, or are you going to keep your nerve? So you're just going to try and concentrate on the golf and not some broad that you saw in the crowd. Fair enough. Another cracking interview. So anyway, folks, that's my 2 guests interviewed. Hope you enjoyed it. So folks, that's everything for today's show. It is the weekend, so get off and enjoy it. There's plenty of sport on. There's the golf, which I'm going to go on and watch for 12 hours solid today, and then also the football. You've got the cricket if that's your thing, and many other things. Thanks for watching, folks. I've put a few links down below for the tournaments that are on at the moment. Have a wee look, it might be interesting. If not, doesn't matter. I'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks for watching.